Hi Lancers, this is Robin Thompson and this is week 3. And this week we're going to be talking about time for change. So this week's theme is we're going to be tasked with opening up a new courthouse in the city of Corona. And some of the things that we're going to be tackling is equality, efficiency, and the division of work. So why? Why do we need to be equal? Because we need to provide equal access to justice. We need to be efficient because we need to improve turnaround time for case resolution, and we need to have division of work and more skilled workers. So there's going to be a lot of items that are going to be on the agenda that we're going to need in order to be able to open up this courthouse, provide the fair, equal, efficient, skilled access to justice and time resolution for the members of our community. So equality first. We need another full-time courthouse, as I mentioned, to ensure access to justice for members of the community. But what does this look like? How are we going to just open up this courthouse full-time? Where's the money going to come from to support the new judgeships and the court staff that it's going to take in order to open up and support the courtroom to be able to ensure that there is the process of justice? So from the moment of filing to case resolution, how are we going to staff, hire, and train? How many clerks do we even need? As you can see, there's a lot of preparation that needs to take place because the doors cannot just be opened without them. So this process is going to take a lot of planning, organizing, directing, staffing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. Sound familiar? POSCORP. Yep, the theory of organization of Luther Gulick, stemming back to 1937. It's the concept and foundation for the division of work, and the very reason that there's a need in this for organization. Dividing up the work is critical since there are many divisions and departments within the court, and it's imperative for organizations to understand the complexity of their processes and practices. But why? Why is it so important that it be broken up into so many departments and so many components? Why does the structure and organizational components need to be so specialized? The answer is because every employee is different. Each employee brings different characteristics and traits to the workforce, and it's through those people that the work is actually getting done. So each employee needs to be specialized in the required task and job expectations, and in order for employees to be efficient at their role, careful planning and organizing and directing, etc., need to be done prior to the court opening. So then once this plan's developed and there's these clear written rules and expectations, how does the message get delivered to staff? How do we make sure that managers, supervisors, and employees understand the goals, the vision, and the values of the organization? And this is when the importance of communication comes into work. How do we make sure that employees are engaged and motivated to perform their required duties and tasks? I'm sure many of us have worked for someone or worked in an organization where there was a lack of communication. Or maybe there was communication, but it wasn't clear. It wasn't professional, it wasn't motivating, or it wasn't encouraging. So what happens when this type of environment is cultivated? Productivity decreases. There's tension amongst employees and managers, and it could essentially even turn into a hostile work environment. So how does one go about the giving of orders? Make an impact to the individual, a team, a department, and ultimately an organization. Mary Parker Follett brought forth this fresh perspective in how to effectively manage a workforce. She found a way to bridge the gap and build stronger, more cohesive relationships amongst people. And for me, there's something to say about a leader who has followers who are engaged and motivated versus a leader who only has followers because of their position and title that makes them feel powerful or even feared. So having good working relationships is motivating. And we also learned from Maslow that every person is motivated differently because they're at a different stage based on the needs. And as a person feels satisfied at one level, then and only then can they move on to the next level. So the ultimate goal is to be at the highest level of self-actualization, meaning you're living your life at your purpose. But leaders and managers cannot possibly know what level each of their employees are at if they're not engaged, if they're not actively listening, if they're not fostering an environment that promotes growth, development, and creativity. And I thought of the Hawthorne theory from the 1920s, And this kind of proved that people actually respond to personal interaction. Yes, money and various external factors play a role, but people matter. And over the next 20 to 30 years, there seemed to be this shift towards human engagement. So society began to realize that there was more to reaching efficiency than just each employee performing their own assigned task and having this robotic environment with as little personal interaction as possible to get things done. Because people care about intangible benefits such as recognition and reward. And if we engage in human relations, it helps us deal with conflict and change in the workforce. And when people feel appreciated, they're likely to feel safe. They're likely to have that sense of belongingness and purpose. And they'll probably be inclined to do more. And as they contribute more towards the organization, they in turn will be better valued towards the organization and the community. And as public servants, we have a duty and responsibility to treat the public with respect, provide the utmost care and devotion towards solving problems. But we also have to be effective, efficient, and accountable. So Frederick Taylor was more focused on efficiency, not so much accountability, whereas Follett, Gulick, Goodnow, Fayol, and even Wilson, getting tasks done was more efficient when there were clearly defined rules, regulations, communication, the division of labor, and reciprocal relationships across all lines of the organization. And as we move into modern society, the trend is very much consistent with the theories relating to people. Formal rules and regulations can be defined. Tasks can be divided. There can be formal hierarchy. The structure can be definite. But if leaders and management cannot effectively engage and motivate staff, and if they can't communicate expectations, and if they can't be consistent with discipline and hold people accountable, then staff is not going to be engaged or motivated to give all of themselves to the organization. Another way to look at this concept is through Charles Barnard, who stressed communication and focused on the informal processes in organizations, and how employees need to feel comfortable presenting their ideas. They should have access to their manager. They should not be afraid to ask questions. And the communication should be authenticated. It should be transparent, and it should be conducted with a sense of morals and standards. And he says the longevity of an organization depends upon the quality of its leaders. And leaders need to set examples to set the platform for success. So shifting back to this new Corona Courthouse and how we're going to provide equal access to justice and how we're going to improve the turnaround time for case resolution and how we're going to be efficient and how we're going to have these skilled workers across all levels of the organization. If we put into practice all the things I just touched on, we will be able to achieve these goals. We will have gone into the POSCORB stage with an open mind. We'll have made decisions based on the idea of bounded rationality of Herbert Simon, in that, while yes, ideally we would love for things to work perfectly, but we are rational. And as leaders, as government officials, we know there will not always be just one best option. We're simply looking for the best option based on all the facts that we have at hand at this one moment. And yes, there's always going to be room for improvement. And as time goes on, as laws change, as bills get passed, the needs and demands of society changes, and we have to be able to adjust to that. And there may not be drastic changes that happen overnight. There will be areas that need to be looked at, tweaked, and changed, taken out, or added. But this is generally how policy is changed. It slowly evolves. It's revolutionary, as Charles Lindblom would say. It's incrementalism. Public administration today has seen many trends with this. Marijuana laws, teenage driving laws, tobacco smoking, just to name a few. So all this talk about human relations, what's ethical, the rights of citizens and immigrants, the common theme that I see is people. People's values, their civil rights, what's ethical. All these things have changed over time, and what used to be viewed as a privilege are now the norms and expectations of society. So a lot can be said about the emphasis and value on human interaction and how it impacts our society. So in conclusion, as I think about all the many theories we've covered thus far, they're kind of all an extension of one another. They build off of each other. As technology changes, the values of society change. The social and economic needs change. Our government is continually changing. Some things incrementally, others more drastic, more exploratory. But what I really see is the foundation of bureaucracy, the distribution of activities, the ideas that rules are defined. People generally do follow order. We still see this hierarchy structure in most organizations, and government does care about its social position. And something I find interesting is an idea from Leonard White from his introduction to the study of public administration, in that the public administration starts from the base of management rather than law. Administration is an art, but there is an importance in considering it as a science, and public administration is a public business. So, management is a profession, and we're seeing this more and more in modern society. Thank you for listening to my presentation. You guys have a great week, and I'm looking forward to listening to yours as well. Thank you.